Emergency Broncos show, as we just found out Dre Greenlaw is suspended. We're going to break it down. We've got video of why we believe he was suspended, and this emergency show is brought to you by Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. Place a $5 bet after depositing $10, and you're going to get $200 in your account when you sign up. And Henry, just a couple of minutes ago, the NFL officially released their statement that Dre Greenlaw has been suspended for one game for unsportsmanlike conduct following Sunday's game against the New York Giants. I'm not going to get into all of the rules section articles where it is, but here's exactly what the NFL said. Quote, after the conclusion of the Giants-Broncos game, Greenlaw chased after referee Brad Allen and verbally threatened him as he tried to leave the field. And this is their justification for him being suspended. Your initial reaction, Henry?
Initial reaction is that I don't think it really matters all that much.
I mean, not having Greenlaw for a week?
We haven't had him for 6 weeks or 5 weeks. But I mean, he comes back, plays the first half, rotates with Strnad. You're so used to playing without it. So you rotate with Strnad in the first half of the last game. We don't know why Dre Greenlaw didn't play the second half. Maybe it's a weird snap count workload thing. But yeah, Justin Strnad was the better linebacker in that game, and barring an injury, we'll knock on wood this week to Justin Strnad that would put Dre Greenlaw. That's when you'd really need him. I can't say this really changes how I view the game against the Cowboys.
Wow, I have a very different approach, which we'll dive into the rest of this week. I think the Cowboys are the #1 offense in the NFL, and initially you think it's because of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and yes, that's definitely a part of it. But they have the #2 running back in the NFL with Javonte Williams, and I just think the Broncos, they also have a great tight end with Ferguson. The Broncos are going to need every single piece they can have. So I disagree with you there, but we'll dive into that film throughout this week and at the end of this show here. But speaking of film, we actually do have film. My initial reaction before we get to the film is just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like you said, Henry, the Broncos were without Dre for the first 5 weeks of the season. He comes back, plays one half of football, and now we're not going to see him. And it's just like, how did he get suspended for something that happened after the game? Well, film has already come out. Shout out to Alex Wilcox TV on Twitter. Works down in the Springs. Got this incredible shot, and I actually tweeted it yesterday and said, it looks like something's happening here. He was certainly right. He got the money footage here with this, because you hear, let's dial this up. This was at the end of the game, and we're just going to play this on a loop. Hopefully that it's going to be good enough quality. So at the end of the game, you have Will Lutz set up for the field goal. And let's just watch from the beginning and just notice anything and everything here. So this is right after you see Dre Greenlaw, see the referee run out, and then Dre Greenlaw chases him right there, yelling at him, pointing at him. The official actually throws a flag, which I'm not quite sure what that does. Maybe they have to do that for suspension purposes in the past. And you also see Q Robinson kind of following Dre Greenlaw. Clearly, he knew that Dre Greenlaw was hot, trying to get him to slow down, and he actually does a successful job of that. Henry, when you watch this a couple of times, what do you see here?
I don't know how you get suspended for that. It's just seems a little ridiculous to me. And he's going to appeal it, and so hopefully he wins the appeal. But I don't know. I mean, people get yelled at all the time, right? Like there's the baseball game coming up here in like an hour. Somebody's going to yell at the ump and occasionally get thrown out, I guess. But for something like this, it just seems so soft. And who knows what he's saying? Maybe there's something you could say that would make it some suspension worthy. But assuming you're not out there saying the world's worst things, I don't know how you get a suspension for that.
Yeah, I mean, Henry, I'm right with you in terms of just like chasing him. It does not look like he touches him from this angle. There are some other angles, and it looks like Dre Greenlaw does have some distance. But I have to imagine that the point in the NFL's memo that was sent out says Greenlaw chased after referee Brad Allen and verbally threatened him. So there has to be something that we just don't know from this footage and probably won't know from any footage. It's probably just Brad Allen's word. I guess he is mic'd up, so maybe the NFL has that audio, but I have to imagine that it's more than just Greenlaw chasing him down. While you shouldn't do that, I also don't think that gets you a 15 or a 1 game suspension. That might get you a 15-yard penalty during a game, but we know 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalties are not equal to 1 game suspension. So you just have to imagine with what the NFL said, watching this video, that there was something egregious said and like really bad, because from my understanding, Dre Greenlaw was expecting a fine, but not to be suspended for this. And then so if you watch this, and a lot of people have started pointing this out, and we don't know if this is actually true, but we'll just keep this playing on a loop right now, because watch at the very beginning. So after the Broncos kick the game-winning field goal, of course, the entire Broncos team storms the field to be with them. And you can kind of see right there that Brad Allen may have pushed Justin Strnad in some way, put his hand on him in some way. Strnad does not go to the ground, but it looks like maybe there's some contact between the two there. And whether or not that's what got Dre Greenlaw to be very upset and kind of say, like, don't touch my teammate in any situation, because then it looks like he comes out of there. So that's one theory that's floating around right now, is Greenlaw just trying to have his fellow inside linebackers back right there with that. But again, we don't know if that's why that happened. And then certainly what Dre Greenlaw said right after.
Yeah. It's tough to say. This is the best angle I guess we have. There's the one from the sideline, but that cuts off before anything actually happens. Maybe Strnad's a factor, maybe not. But it is what it is. He yelled what he yelled, and the cause to me doesn't really matter all that much. You know, it doesn't change whether it's suspension worthy or not to me.
The cause of it, I see. Yeah, it would just be what was said. And so Dre Greenlaw, right now, he is suspended for 1 game, which is the Dallas Cowboys game coming up on Sunday. He has 3 days to appeal. From my understanding, he is going to appeal. And you just never know with some of these appeals. I feel like in the NFL over the past couple of years, there's some suspensions that you think are going to be upheld and they're reversed. You think there's some that are going to be reversed and taken down and they're upheld. You really just don't know with this. And Henry, I do wonder if this is just going to be one person's word against another person's word here. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way around it. And the ref says what he said. Like, that's obviously what you listen to. But yeah, if you're Dre, just say, like, are you seriously going to do this? This seems a little bit excessive. And it seems like these things usually get cut down, right? Like, you get the 8-game suspension, you appeal it, and then, it's a 6-game suspension. I don't know. 1 game makes it a little bit different because there's no easy way to cut it in half or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Well, what would happen, Henry, is it would just be, instead it'd be a big fine that's divvied out to Dre Greenlaw. Right now, he is set to miss $192,778 due to this 1 game suspension. You know, maybe instead they let him play, but it's $150,000 fine instead, so he gets to play on the field. Let's hope that's the case for the Broncos, and honestly for Dre as well. 1, for his bank account, but 2, this guy lives and breathes football. You can tell that in the spring when the Broncos sign him and the Broncos are still 6 months away from playing football, that this guy lives for football. And he's been held back pretty much all of last year. He didn't get to play coming off that torn Achilles that he had in the Super Bowl. He doesn't get to play the first 5 games of the NFL this season due to rehabbing from an injury. He finally gets to play. And like you said, he didn't play in the second half, potentially because of a snap count, potentially something else. And then he won't get to play this coming week unless his suspension is overturned. This is just absolutely brutal. And who knows, Henry, that there's one other thing. Dre Greenlaw could have just been pissed with the refs, with the way the game was going. The Broncos were called for 12 penalties, 127 yards. Now, sure, some of those were ticky-tack calls by the officials. I think we did a good job breaking down earlier how Riley Moss's penalty was not an actual penalty. But the Broncos have to be better and have to be smarter. And during a game, you can't have mental mistake penalties. After a game like this, you cannot have these mistakes either. So it's brutal not to have Dre Greenlaw for a game right here. And I hope that it'll be overturned. Typically, the appeals happen on Tuesday, so that would be tomorrow. Dre would either fly out to New York City or have a Zoom conference call, and then by Wednesday we would know. So I would think sometime Wednesday or Thursday we'll know if Dre's playing or not.
Yeah, and I've seen people say that he might not have been playing the second half because of a pitch count. I've never seen a pitch count where you just don't play an entire half. I can't remember that ever happening. People have said like he played almost the same number of snaps as Malcolm Roach when Roach came back against the Jets, but those were dispersed throughout the game. Very strange to me if that is the way that they design things, where you split. It was like 21 snaps for Dre, 16 for Strnad in the first half, and then obviously all Strnad in the second half. There's a real part of me that thinks he might not have been playing this week anyway because something flared up. And I rewatched his last play in the second quarter over and over again. It doesn't look like there's an injury there, but when it's all soft tissue stuff, maybe it doesn't show up. So I still go back to he hasn't played. The Broncos defense has been just fine. He and Justin Strnad both played last week, and Strnad was the better of the two linebackers. And he didn't play the second half anyway. So he might not have been playing against the Cowboys anyway. If he is, then if he was going to, then there's still probably some sort of pitch count, because if you're saying we're playing you half the snaps for half the game, maybe you play half the snaps for the entire game in your second week back. I don't know. But you're still not getting the most of him. You're still not getting him every down if that's the case. Like I said, to me, my first thought when this popped up was like, oh, that sucks. Anyways, like you're still the same team.
Well, I hope that's the case. But on the other hand, the Broncos didn't sign a guy for $11 million if you're going to be the same with or without him on the field. I thought in the first 6 plays, he had 4 tackles and his presence was really felt. I do understand what you're saying. And shout out to Justin Strnad for playing with his hair on fire. I mean, making the game-changing play in the entire game, offense and defense yesterday. And as our guy, Spencer Smith says, I want to find the comment. He said, if you touch Strnad, where's this comment? I just lost it.
You shove Justin, you get cracked.
Yeah, you shove Justin, you get cracked. On a football field, you can't do that. But clearly that's Dre. And you know what? If this is exactly what happened and what caused it, of an official touching Justin and kind of pushing him and Dre going off, Henry, that would kind of fit with everything that we've heard about Dre Greenlaw, just with the intensity that he plays with, how he is the best teammate in the world. I think every single time we talk to a person and a player about Dre Greenlaw, they say just how great of a teammate he is. Seems like he's always going to have your back. And clearly this would back that up if this is the reasoning. If an official kind of shoved him a little bit and that set Dre off, it shows that he is always going to have your back. I want to know what the Twitter chat is feeling right now about this. Let me know. It seems like a lot of ref hate, which I completely understand, especially coming off a game where there was 12 penalties for almost 130 yards on the Broncos, and now you just add this on top of it. And a lot of people saying what has been said for a long time: when are the refs going to be held accountable? Unfortunately, probably never. I mean, that's just kind of what it looks like. I think refs, fans, and players have wanted refs to be held accountable for decades now, and it just simply has not happened. So you got to play the game, and you just gotta not get in their way, I guess, because I don't think that is ever going to happen, Henry.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to be upset with Dre Greenlaw for being Dre Greenlaw. Like, that's why you brought him here, is because of that sort of energy. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Again, like, I don't think this is dying. I think this is like, oh, you sliced off a fingernail with the sword. Like, you're the same team that you've been this entire time with the best defense in the NFL.
Well, let's hope that the Broncos don't have to worry about their cut off fingernail, and they can actually be playing with it this week, and there's no issue there. We're going to continue to break this down on the DNVR Broncos podcast tomorrow. I believe we got our guy RK back, so we'll talk about this. We'll talk about how the Broncos, with or without Greenlaw, should handle the inside linebacker position. But before we get out of here, I got to give a shout out to a couple of the commenters that we've got in the Twitter chat, and specifically some super chats. William Dunn giving us a super chat, says, "Ref shove Strnad, hold the refs accountable." Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I've been getting from a lot of the chat here, is let's get them, hold them accountable, and just have never seen it. Our guy Eric Weedham, shout out D-Line Co., says he's still angry about the PI call, and maybe that's a reason why Dre Greenlaw was upset right there. Dusty dropping a super
Eric could come up with something much worse to say to a referee than whatever Dre said. And also, going back to what was the comment before that? I forget. Oh, hold the ref accountable. I'm not gonna lie. If the NFL takes $500 from the refs from yesterday's game for the calls they made, I feel no better. I just don't care.
The good thing is
I'm not losing any sleep because they didn't lose the right. It's sure that would not change if they had lost. I wouldn't say like, well, at least that guy's out $500. I don't care.
And Dusty comes in with the super chat and says, wasn't able to make it earlier, but wow, the tailgate to DT's pillar all the way to the fourth quarter. The vibes were immaculate. Mile High Magic is back. Brad Allen showers in his socks. Cheers, y'all. That's the first time I've heard that diss.
Yeah.
Is that a classic one?
I don't think so, but I mean, we're all anti Brad Allen now. I bet there's odds are Brad Allen refs another Broncos game at some point this season. Can't wait. Hopefully it's in Denver. We get some fans out there with some signs.
Yeah, I'll be watching Dre the entire game, seeing where Brad Allen is. But hopefully we can watch Dre this weekend on Sunday. He is going to appeal this one game interesting suspension here, and we will continue to break it down on the DNVR Broncos podcast. We're going to go live tomorrow at noon. We have a loaded show. We're not only going to talk about this. Funny enough, we were going to talk about the inside linebackers and how to handle the rotation, and now we definitely will be talking inside linebackers. We're going to be talking about should Sean Payton, or why it's right that Sean Payton is not giving up play calling duties. And then we're going to look at where the Broncos stand in the AFC and how things could shake up this coming week after they shook up a lot this past week. It's going to be fun. We've got our friend Rob LaRock, my friend Rob LaRock, who says these Broncos are undisciplined. The Bears would never. CHGO friend right there. Broncos are undisciplined, and that's I think they lead the NFL in penalties, and you cannot win a Super Bowl like Sean wants to do, consistently having 130 yards in penalties, and then I don't even know what you'd call this suspension on top of that. Like you have a guy be suspended and 130 yards of penalties. You can't have it. You can't, whether you want to blame the refs or not, you need to stop that right now, because the Giants had the exact same officials, and Henry, they had 8 penalties for 36 yards. The Broncos had nearly 100 more penalty yards than the Giants and still won. So I think that shows the ceiling of this team, is when you can consistently just be terrible on the penalties, and you're 5-2, Henry, 5-2, and your 2 losses are last second field goals by the other team to beat you.
Yeah. The Bears will never win a Super Bowl because they're the Bears, which is at least the Broncos have like hope and those sorts of things.
So you'd rather be undisciplined with hope than just no hope and disciplined. I love that. You take that one, Rob.
Right. I mean, there were the 2 teams with the most penalty yards coming into the game, and Broncos had 100 yards more. So that's a real shame.
Yep. Yeah, that's brutal. But that's going to do it for us today. Make sure to tune in tomorrow at noon. We appreciate everyone tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.